Welcome to another episode of SAWDUST Nation Podcast, episode 167. As you can see, or might not be able to see, depending if you're a Patreon, we have AJ from Crafted and NJ joining us today as a guest host. We have Nap.
Hi.
From Nap's Nutty Works, LLC, and myself, Josh, from North Country Woodworking. We're a little goofy. You know what? We just had a long weekend. We're kind of coming off of that. We just had a long day of work, each one of us. And now we get together to talk about wood. Hardwood, softwood, you name it. It's going to happen on this episode.
12-inch toys.
And 12-inch toys. If you missed it, we did a live episode because today is the first Tuesday of the month. We get a live going on YouTube and we give something free away. We did a nod to a previous episode of when we had our kids on and we gave away a Pokemon toy and a dinosaur. And then we also gave away AC unit, portable for your shop or however you want to use it. So, you can keep it cool. Even though the winter months are coming, there are some shops out there that stay warm all year.
Texas.
So, yeah, I can talk about Texas. With that, let's go ahead and start it off with who wants it? Raise their hand.
Oh, screw it. I'll go.
Okay. With all the excitement in the world, let's go ahead and toss it off to Nap.
Yeah, so the reason why I say, yes, screw it, I'll do it, is because I don't got a whole lot of shop talk to give other than mistakes made. But, yeah, I'll talk about it during the shop talk. Why not? So jobs are about the same as last week. That's why I don't have a whole lot of shop talk other than I got possibly. I say possibly just because I've been told I have a job before, and then they're like, oh, we went with this other person that charges like $15 less. I was like, okay, cool. So you got a piece of wood with no round over with a non-sanded laser edge engraving. Awesome. Perfect. But I should get this job. 57 plaques by October 13th, 11.5 by 7. Shape of North Dakota with some things engraved on it. All around work time, from what I gather from start to finish, the profile cut on the CNC will take about 5 minutes or less. The engraving itself will take 26 minutes, and the round over / chamfer, not decided yet, will take all of like 45 seconds, and then sanding and finishing. So I'm going to say I'm about 45 minutes from start to finish if I did one all in its entirety. That's not bad. And I won't say price point just because, well, that's just something I don't do. But price point's fair enough. It's good, but not great. But then again, it's, I guess, a part of getting established here and hitting all of the major events, if you will, on the base. This one being the induction ceremony, one of which I did when I was in Texas. That was cool. So I'll get to do that this year, hopefully. And then I got a secondary order from the staff sergeant release here. Just a couple people that showed up that did not RSVP but wanted mementos, so I get 25 more of those to make. That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Hey, I'll take the quantity all day, every day. That's how you make the money these days. And that's really it as far as the jobs are concerned, because I got the shadow box to finish. Kitty! But the shadow box is coming along great. So I procrastinated a little bit. However, I did something a little different with the stripes. Typically, I just carve a pocket, and I'll cut the stripes to be 0.002 smaller on the perimeter, so it just sets right in there, and there's really no sanding involved. I can literally just do real quick scrape of the sandpaper and press it in and glue it, and it's great. However, there's one thing that happens when you do that. If the shapes are not exact and you have like points in some areas, you'll have to sand corners and do all this stuff to make it match. So I ended up doing a V-carve inlay instead. What, Josh?
Sand corners? You take a chisel and you take that pocket and you get it to a
point.
So
I've done that before, and I got a little too aggressive one time, and we'll just say I made a oops, and it didn't turn out well. Anyways, so I did a V-carve inlay. So if those are very familiar, I know Tim is familiar if he's in here. He's familiar with doing the V-carve inlays with his cutting boards. Well, I took it to a different level of where I did a V-carve inlay, but the stripes still stand proudly about, I would say, just over 1/4 of an inch. Then I have a chamfer.
Perfect.
But the best part about that is the way it sets in there, you can't even tell it's sitting in a pocket. That's why I did the V-carve inlay, because it's chamfer on the bottom of the stripes and then the chamfer inside the pockets, and it sets in perfect. So I did that instead because I was like, you know what? Those look great when I was doing before, but how can I make it look better? We could always make things look better, and that's how I did that. I took a little tooling around. I took, I want to say 3 or 4 screw-ups. I purposely cut the star first because the star happens to be the hardest part of carving out the inlay piece. Because when you go to do the chamfer, where the circle meets the points, there's not even like a sliver left. So I was able to make that work and have no chip out or any of those things. The star is completely done. I won't have to touch it except for when I glue it in. So luckily that's good. However, going into what I screwed up today about 4 hours ago. So when cutting stripes, I have to do one solid step, which is my touch off the wood, or off the probe, which is sitting on top of the wood. Well, my touch off probe has a magnet, and the magnet goes to the collet. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this. And while I was doing this touch off, I was measuring one of the pieces of wood that I sent through the planer to make sure that the depth was correct on my cut. Because I know the wasteboard is there to take the beatings, if you accidentally go too deep on your cuts. However, I try my best not to do that. So I realized I was off by a 1/16 of an inch. And I was like, well, I'm going to go to readjust this. And I went to cancel the job on the CNC. Well, instead of cancel, I hit continue. And the probe was still attached. Well, wouldn't you know it, 17,000 RPMs, that sucker spun right up, and the wires attached to the collet spun all the way around that sucker, and in a frantic motion, I turned the CNC off. Well, the CNC doesn't control the spindle motor, so the spindle's still going. And I'm like, no! And as it's happening, I hear the little magnetic piece fly off, hit the wall, and I'm turning off the spindle.
Jeez.
And I look to assess the damage. Luckily enough, because of how I wired my touch probe, I split the wires off. So, I only had so much wire that was, dangling. I put a zip tie around the joined piece of wire where the split began. So when it ripped off at that zip tie rather than destroying the entire wire. So I was able to cut that zip tie, restrip the wire, and I actually took a panhead screw and screwed it into the back of the magnet so it touched the magnet on the inside, re-put it on there, went right back off to business. I was able to operate as normal. So all that to say, in my blunder, one, doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, you can still mess up. It happens. But two, it's not always the end of the world. I've seen a lot of posts out there about people's touch probes doing the exact same thing I did today, and they say that they think they have to buy a whole new one. They don't. All you have to do is make sure there's a piece of metal contacting. What are you doing, Josh? You wish, buddy. You wish.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he's having high hopes and dreams over there.
Yeah.
I am 73
I
inches.
swear it's this big.
Said no.
I want to fold that thing a few more times. Keep going.
Hey,
keep going.
Not to steal the show from Nap here, but this foldable ruler is actually from my wife's grandfather. He's not with us anymore, but I remember visiting him, and he wanted me to go into his workshop and pick out a few things for my workshop. And this is actually one of the items that I chose. And I tell you what, I didn't think I would actually, use it. I was going to put it on like my desk or something, and I brought it to work. And I tell you, at least a half dozen times within the first month or two, they're like, "Hey, we're trying to measure things for buying stuff." And they're like, "Anyone have a, tape measure?" I'm like, "Oh, I do in my truck, but I have this." And I've actually utilized it. A little side note. But, yeah.
The random things you know.
Yeah. Playing with my ruler,
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so you don't have to buy yourself a new touch probe. You can just strip some wire, put it back together, and move on as normal. Now, when you do it more than a few times, though, you're eventually going to run out of wire. So you're going to probably have to redo it, unless you just buy I want to say it's like 16 gauge wire, maybe. You could just buy wire and rewire it. But, to each their own. But that was my mistake in the shop today. But yeah, other than that, I got other stuff to talk about, but we can talk about during the random talk. Has to do with my cats. But yeah. AJ. Josh, you can go last.
Yeah, Josh, you can go last.
AJ, man, what's going on in your shop, bud?
As always, I got a lot going on, but at the end of the month, I have a craft fair coming up down in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, and I have almost nothing prepared for it. I have some stuff, I've been toting around some items that went from, I want to say maybe like 4 different craft fairs, and I want to have a lot because apparently this craft fair is pretty big. A lot of people, I think 10,000 people attended last year. So, I mean, that's a big turnaround. So I want to get
10,000 people in the Pine Barrens alone.
Yeah. Well, no one really wants to go down there. They have to do events. Nothing. Man, I'm batting 1,000 today.
You got to realize that not a lot of people know what the Pine Barrens are.
Well, a lot of people also in New Jersey really don't like the Southern New Jersey people, because they all think it's pork roll and not Taylor ham. So there's a big debate going on with that. We don't want to get involved with that. What did you think it was, Josh? You were down south.
I honestly didn't care enough.
Come on. You had to have cared a little bit.
No, I didn't care too much.
When you went into the deli, what did you ask for?
Neither.
What?
Yeah.
The hell what is wrong with you?
It's not something I grew up with. That's all.
Oh, man. You never had Taylor ham?
Look, man. Ham's ham.
No, Taylor ham is different. It's not
Ham is ham. Ham is most definitely ham.
Ham is ham. Taylor ham
This might
is
be
not.
a military thing. I mean, some.
Anywho.
Just have bacon. Problem solved.
There we go. Bacon solves everything.
So I'm trying to get prepared for this craft fair. I only have, I want to say maybe like 17 or 18 days left. And in hopes, I'm trying to get 3 sets of cornhole boards done, a few flags, flat and wavy, cutting boards, bottle openers, maybe some engraved signs on barrel staves, maybe some CNC signs. So I have 18 days of power through and get shit done. Ooh, excuse me. Stuff
It's
done.
okay. It's okay.
I always forget we're a family-friendly show over here.
We let some things go these days, as long
I know.
as it's
I hear.
I
hear. The
Wind
stuff.
designs. I see 3 hams right here. What are you calling it? Snacks or what? What's going on here?
But yeah, I got that going on, and then I have another craft fair. 2 of them actually in November. One's in early November. One's in late November. So I'm hoping that in a perfect world, I would sell most of my stuff down in the Pine Barrens, just because it's going to be a big event, and I'm only going down for one day. I'm going down for Saturday. It was pretty expensive. I want to say it was like $150 per day. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to test the waters this year and see how well it goes. I'm dabbling into the world of templates now. So laser templates. So for CNCs, I'm sorry, for hand routing. I had one gentleman reach out and he asked if I could make a couple of them. He worked with me a little bit because I've never done it before. And he actually just ordered, I want to say 3 different ones after the first 2 I sent him. So it's pretty good. I mean, the first 2 I sent him, I said, look, I need you to be real critical and tell me exactly what I did wrong. What would make these better for you? So he gave me some feedback, which helped a lot. So I got to order more acrylic for that. And I'm trying to think of what else is going on. Just a ton of different things, and just no time. That's what I'm dabbling into. AJ, how far out did you have to sign up for those fairs? So in the chat, I just got asked a question because I'm famous on this podcast. But I had to sign up for, I want to say the Pine Barrens was about, you could still sign up till this weekend coming. So if you're listening, this drops on Thursday. So by Saturday, the cutoff that's it. But the Pine Barrens also goes through an approval process. So they'll judge you, I guess, on what you make. If somebody else is similar to what you make, they won't have multiple makers of the similar ilk. And then a few others I had to sign up pretty far in advance. I want to say, oh, hello.
Hey, sorry.
Yes. See, this is my new office, as everyone noticed from 3 weeks ago. I don't remember. So anyway, interrupting. How dare she? What else do I have going on? Craft fairs, tons of stuff, and that's really it. That's really all I got.
So craft fair. Okay. Well, you have one more question, and I'll ask you about your craft fair thing. But it said, Victor goes, "What type of templates are you doing?"
Acrylic templates?
Well, like what for though? Cutting boards.
Pretty much. This guy was making home plate signs. So, and he was staining them as the American flag. So in the Union, he was putting in team logos, and one was a fire department logo as well. And then the next two, one's going to be a cowboy on a bucking horse, and another fire department logo, and the Yankees logo, I think. So it's kind of sports teams, little insignias. But the problem is I can't use JDS. Is it JDS supplies or whatever?
JDS, yep.
I can't use them because technically I'm not registered, I think, through the state of New Jersey. So my taxes are completely different because I'm not doing it through a business. I'm doing it all through myself. So I talked with them. I tried getting in. I said, look, I'll pay tax. I don't care. But oh, look at Mr. Pinky over here. Oh, I'm a business now. I'm an LLC.
It's not as great as you think it is.
So, but I did find another place online called JP Plus, I believe it is. They sell all different acrylics and whatnot. And one of the ones that I've been using a lot of is a two-toned acrylic. It's gold on the top and black underneath it. So you engrave the gold away, and now it looks like a brass plate. Actually, one of my recent flags that I just showed had a gigantic patch on, or a nameplate on it. And that was all done out of that acrylic as well. So that I don't know if you saw that. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But it said "Giddy Up, Gents" on the bottom behind under the Union. Well, that whole thing it was a messed up flag. I had another maker make a nameplate for it, and I had made the nameplate like fairly like a decent size. Well, I showed it to the customer, and the customer's like, no, I want it like big. And I'm like, well, how big? And he's like, I want it like 16 by 10. I was like, that's going to take up like half the flag. So I did 2 cardboard templates and showed him 2 different variations. And he's like, yeah, I like the big one. I was like, wow, this thing. I mean, if you look at the picture, it's gigantic. And I was like, hey, whatever he wants.
I know it was bigger than your normal.
You got it,
but
please take another look at it because it is huge. And I was skeptical of it. I'm like, I think it's going to ruin the flag because it's just so big and it's going to like take over the whole thing. But it honestly, did I even post? Oh yeah, I posted the whole thing up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
There's definitely a happy medium for sure.
Yeah, I was really hesitant, and I will give you a good laugh. I almost took some fishing line and cut the glue off the back after it cured because it was a 1/16 of an inch crooked, and I could not unsee it. I measured it 1,000 times, and it was a 1/16, and I'm like, this thing looks horrible, horrible. And Kim goes, she steps back. You know, you always get the voice of reason from your wife, and she goes, I can't. If you never told me, I'd have no idea. I'm like, yeah, but it's a 1/16. They're going to notice. No one noticed.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but
yeah,
no,
thanks.
It looks good, man. And honestly, like before that story, when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, it's bigger plaque than you normally do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the way you lined everything up and did everything, I mean, it looks great. You're really doing really great things with the laser too. That
laser is definitely come in handy quite a bit. The only downside to it is I wish it had a bigger bed. I wish they sold an 80 watt with a larger bed. That would be outstanding.
Just get 100 watt.
I can't fit it, and I don't have money. I'm, poor at this point. I've got tools.
So
other tools.
You can also do the what you call it, the pass through.
Yes, you can, But I found out you're a little limited with that because it depends on the thickness of your material. So if it's in this, you have to be in this happy medium, because if it's too, like if I'm only doing, let's say, a 1/4 inch sheet, now I raise the bed up too much, and now it hits this front rail that's in the way. I thought they would have done it so that you could have like pretty much touched the bed to the nozzle. Yes, you over to the right with the bald head.
Go, Nap. He's going to burst.
Wow. That's messed up.
Well, I mean, look, I've got somewhat of football.
Yeah, but Josh has nothing.
Okay.
Look, this is by choice.
He's definitely, he feels hurt by that comment.
Anywho.
But no, so hey, I thought the same thing with mine. However, I found two things with my laser. One, there's a spacer that actually is roughly 1 inch thick. So I'm able to, I took that off and I have actually a whole another inch of space. Second, some lasers nozzles, depending on how yours is set up, if you undo the screw, you can push it up further to compensate for the thickness of the material and then refocus.
Can you hear that?
Yes, what is that? It's gone.
No, it's Kim walking upstairs. The floors are a little creaky.
Go ahead, Josh.
Sorry to stop the show on that one.
You could buy a different type of nozzle as well. Don't forget that. American Photonics sells different, style or length nozzles with the lens in there as well. And even though that those...
The creaking floor. Oh, here's...
Even though those nozzles are utilized for different types of engraving, it can allow you to use the 3 inch or the 4 inch, whatever you're more familiar with, to be able to not have to raise the bed as far as normal.
Here's the biggest problem, and my laser right out of the gate, I didn't have to adjust anything, nothing. I didn't touch the mirrors. I didn't do anything. Maybe I adjusted it like a hair. So my fear is that I'm going to touch.
What was that?
Like a hair, like a minuscule hair. But my fear is that if I touch anything on that laser, it's just going to be junk at that point, and I'm not going to be able to get it back. So
you've never aligned your laser?
No. I think from when I started talking with Nap, I was doing tests and doing pulses, and I was almost dead on every single time right out of the gate. I still have the tape from when it was, it might have been like a tiny bit off, but for the stuff I'm doing, I would never notice. All I have to say is it was a metric hair to be exact.
See.
Well, there's something called RCH, and I'll tell you about that later. I can't say that on this episode, but I'll tell you after the fact.
I already know
it was a unit. It was a unit of measurement that was bestowed upon me by the great Jason.
Nice.
It's a good one.
But that's my only fear. I've heard that you can move the nozzle up, and honestly, I never even thought about taking the honeycomb out if I had something to go with the pass-through, because...
Yeah, you could take the honeycomb out. You could take the little grate thing out, the little...
Knives.
Yeah, the knives out. You could put a piece of make a little box, set something on top. Man, I've tried everything in this laser when it comes to trying to get more space or forgetting to engrave something to the last minute.
I'm so good with my laser now.
Yeah, what did you get the dual head laser?
He did.
I wanted to. I was going to get the dual head laser, but it was just one of those things where I didn't want to pay the extra amount or the space too, because I started measuring things out, and if I got anything bigger in that shop, it would have been hard to move around.
Yeah,
even more so.
See, that's the other problem. I was so limited with the size of the laser that I could get because of the door size that I had to go through. The 80 watt was like the biggest I could go, and where I wanted to keep it, the 80 watt fits pretty much snug in there. I would have no what.
Get another 80 watt space right behind you.
Yeah, behind me. If I had the funds, I already said it. I would buy another 80 watt or do 100 and try squeezing it in, and then keep one for the rotary, one for flat work. Because why not?
I don't know if you'd ever keep. I mean, if you had that many jobs, but I mean, like, honestly, for anyone out there, if you're considering, buying a CO2 laser right away, you can get away with a 60 to 80. That's going to do you very well. But if you want something looking forward into the future, 100 watt. 100 watt. I'm telling you, you can get 130, you can get 150, and that's just going to make it faster. You cut through a little bit more.
Don't mind me.
I can't tell if you're gambling or what.
No.
Anyway, that's a happy medium. I am totally happy I went with 100 watt. I've been asked before, why didn't you go 130, 150? What was the price point? And then the bed size again. But I can do literally everything I want with 100.
Yeah. So. I'm doing everything with an 80 watt that I'm surprised that I'm doing. I'm not cutting through, like 2x4s or anything like that, but I'm doing 1/4 inch, no problem. 1/4 inch acrylic. I mean, what else do I don't have to go any thicker for the stuff that I'm doing. Now, if my whole business changed where I was doing like really big signs and I needed to cut through like 1/2 inch acrylic or something like that, I know it's still doable on the 80 watt. You change the lens and whatnot. But for right now, the 80 watts going to be, I'm just going to deal with it, deal with the bed size. I make do with what I got. Let's just put it that way. And it works. I love that thing. I'm so glad that I bought that without any outside help from Josh or anything like that. Josh was steering me away from it. He actually said, don't buy a laser. It's not worth it.
He probably said, get a Glowforge.
The only time he said, get a Glowforge.
Don't start a Glowforge.
You still have that?
Oh, there you go, Tim.
Did you see the OMTech actually, was it OMTech? OMTech and X Tools. They have something similar to the Glowforge now, but you can use Lightburn. So like when people are out there searching for a laser that, don't want to dive into a large machine, you can get something that's similar to the Glowforge and not be restricted by Wi-Fi, internet, and a cloud system, and can dive into it with Lightburn. So
it's called a K40.
Yeah, that thing.
Or was it their Polar series?
Yes.
Could be that too. I haven't been too deep into the product line, if you will, of OMTech, because I haven't come to a point where I need to buy a new laser yet. Maybe one day. Probably not. Because my laser is working just fine.
While we're on the laser topic, have you either of you replaced your tube yet?
Nope.
How long you been running yours now?
3 years.
Wow, that's really good. I don't want to hear about your 100 watt over there, Josh.
No, so funny thing is though, I've only preached this since
I'll be back.
I've only preached this since I've had my laser. You use the settings you need to achieve your objective. You don't have to bowl through with 90% power. Just run a test card and use those settings from the test card. Don't sit there and try to speed it up. Just do what works for the machine and be conservative. Josh, I think, actually has the right settings, I say, because when Nick was on, he used some very high settings, and we always gave him crap for it. I use very conservative settings. Josh is right in the middle. I say Josh is using settings that will give you prolonged laser tube usage. Mine will for sure, because I don't run my laser. I don't run over 50%, I don't think, really ever. I actually don't remember the last time I did that. If I was doing that, I knew my mirrors were out of alignment. So
yeah. I think the highest I've gone so far was maybe 40% or 41. But I mean, my sweet spot, I found I'm doing 19 millimeters a second and 38 power for 1/8 inch Baltic birch, and it cuts beautifully.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm seeing people on the forums and whatnot. They're saying, I'm running at 100%. And I'm like, why? Yeah. There was one post recently. They're like, I'm running, I forget what speed, and 100% on an 80 watt. And people are like, why? Why are you doing this? You're going to need a tube in a month.
So some of the reading I have done, it doesn't matter exactly what you run your laser at. It's usually dependent upon time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, obviously, the more you demand from it, less, or it's not gonna last as long. But it's very minuscule, according to the one article I read.
Yeah.
Now, if you're running a diode, I'm probably gonna get crap for this. I would run that at 100% and adjust the speed.
That's what you told me to do, and it worked great.
Yeah, it's just easier. Yeah, you're not prolonging anything by doing that. Did I have performance issues toward the end? No, not that I recognized. I sold the laser. Someone is actually still utilizing it, and that thing is probably, I don't know, like 5-6 years old-ish, give or take, rough math. So it really depends. You know what I'm saying? How you run your laser is really going to be up to you and how you want to operate. I don't recommend running it that much because honestly, there's no need for it. If you want something that fast, buy a higher power, and then you can run it just as fast and not hit 100%. But I'm not going to sit there and tell them they're wrong for doing that. It's just not something I would do. Like Nap, he runs his a little slower than I would. I've tried, not that I try to find the happy medium. I just found my settings. I found the settings that work for me. You know what I'm saying? But, there's certain things that benefit from the way he runs his. Sometimes he'll get a cleaner edge than I do. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to basically, every, running it at a slower state, less power, or running it as happy medium. Or if you're just in a hurry and you want to get things done and, run it full bore at 100%, go ahead. I mean, as long as you don't start a fire and burn your house down, what does it matter?
I mean, I couldn't imagine you running. I mean, you said, if you're in a hurry. I mean, I think the longest I ever did anything, maybe it was an engraving, might have been 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Like, that thing's quick. And setup is super quick. I wish the CNCs were that quick to set stuff up on light burn, then send it immediately to the laser. Like I know for me, my CNC, I mean, like any CNC, you got to touch it off. You got to make sure that your coordinates are correct. And there's a lot more setup, but I took a real hardcore turn there. All I know is the laser is amazing. And I say it every single time I'm on here. Thank you, Josh, for pushing me that way.
Hey man, that's what we do in this community, right? We help each other out, and sometimes it requires a little bit of a push. But I mean, like, we get stuck in our own, our ways. Why do we need that? That's expensive. Some of these moves that we've made here, like lasers, we talk about CNCs. I still remember AJ, you getting your CNC, and like how big of a deal that was. You know what I'm saying? Nap, I didn't know you when you first got your CNC. I met you after, but when you got your upgrade, Winfinity, I knew you then. I mean, these are, you're talking about a lot of money going into a wood shop that is a hobby. Yeah, we run it as a business, but let's be honest, like we have our main job, we have our family. It's a hobby business. It's a lot of conversations with the wives, a lot of conversations of like, are we going to do this, whatnot? And then pushing that button, I guarantee, at least for me, every time I push a button on a big tool, it's like, I really hope I didn't mess up here. But luckily, so far, knock on wood, every tool purchase has been well thought out, and I've been able to justify it, especially in long term.
Oh yeah, big time.
So anyway, so real quick, I want to backpedal to something real quick about being in a hurry. I just want to illustrate something real quick for the folks out there that use Lightburn and those things. I'm actually going to share my screen. I haven't done this in a while as far as things that have got going on. Let's see. Window. How do I do this? There we go. All right. So
that's not woodworking.
No. All right. So real quick, this is the job that I was talking about earlier with the 57 plaques. All right. So earlier on today, I was messing around with this, and I noticed that it was going to take 49 minutes to burn this. Okay. This is, as you see up here, 11. Just under 11 3/4 by 7. Well, funny thing about settings is you'll notice I have it at 30% at 275. That's modest for oak. Gives you a pretty decent dark burn. Everything's good. However, there's some things that people miss and forget to actually speed up your laser process, but not sacrifice the quality of your burn. It can alter the darkness or lightness for that matter. Most folks forget about this little setting right here, this interval setting. So if I have this at my typical setting for when I'm doing like plates, which is 0.03, okay, and I push OK, you're going to notice that my time for this, if I can preview, if I can just, figure this out and bring this over here. Notice how that's 50 minutes. Okay. Now, if I open my interval, which actually I'm going to show you what this actually looks like, what I mean by the interval. You notice when you go to preview, you see how close these lines are? Okay. That's what it talks about when it's talking about interval, how close these lines are going to be. What this is going to cause is an overburn, which is what gives you a super dark burn. Okay. But if I kick this out to 0.055, which is what I'm going to burn this at, this is what I typically burn oak at. You preview, I jump down almost a whole 30 minutes. But then I scroll in, you'll notice the lines are still relatively close, and I'll still get a pretty decent overburn that it'll keep it nice and dark. I could actually probably test this out on something and go as high as 0.075, which I probably won't do that. But it went down a whole another 6 minutes. And it's still, the lines are still relatively close, and I'll probably get a pretty decent burn. Now, that's with CO2 lasers. On diodes, I'm sorry to say, if your interval is not close, you're not going to get a dark burn. You're going to get a light brown, not so great burn. But that's just something I want to talk about when it comes to being in a hurry, is if you notice something's going to take a very long time, check your interval, because your interval will drastically change the amount of time a burn takes with your laser. And that is my little share/tip.
Hey, I got a quick question for you.
That was a nice tip.
What's up?
You have the blue layer on fill. Now, if I do it on mine and do fill, it shows everything that's going to be filled like not in your preview, but see how the letters on your preview are solid?
Yeah.
My regular screen on the grid shows solid colors if
That's
I go
a
and
setting.
fill.
So that's a setting you have that I don't have. So I might have to look into that. I might like.
I
that setting,
hate
actually.
that because sometimes it screws me up so bad because
Whoa.
if
Huh?
because
Wait, pause.
Hold on.
Why?
Because if I've had a circle around it or a square or something like that, and I didn't change that layer, now it darkens the whole circle. So now I gotta. Yes, it's one little step, but it's a pain in the butt step that I can't stand. Like I like how you could see all the individual lines and then go to preview and see what's going to be darkened in.
Yeah.
Well, I believe when you set up Lightburn, I might have helped you with this because it was like that and you wanted it the other way. Yeah, there is a setting in Lightburn. Basically, you can change that back and forth. That way, when it says fill, you see the line still, and then preview, you see the actual thing.
Okay.
Or when it says fill, you see it filled in. I like it like that because it allows me to double check my settings by visually seeing it. I don't know if I didn't have that setting, how it would look. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't remember what it is on top of my head. It's something that I could definitely take a look and report back on because I've helped people in the past because I believe Lightburn, that's the way it comes, is you don't see a fill when it's fill.
Mine's been like that since
preset.
Day one.
Because I helped you set up on
didn't.
your
No, you didn't.
on your diode. I hope you set up.
Nope.
Oh, I would say I know where you live, but it would take me too long to get there. Anyway, I don't know.
I thought you were going to go into something else. Jeez.
No, I'm looking for this setting. Keep talking.
Man. You're supposed to be on a podcast right now.
So real quick, that's just my tip and trick, if you will, to speed up your job. I would rather you do that than crank up the power and the speed because, well, to me, it's conserving your tube. And as I said, mine's been running for 3 years straight. And I'm actually kind of curious what my actual runtime has been. There's a setting on here that tells me what that is.
You can see that on Lightburn too?
Yeah.
But it needs to be connected to your laser.
I know my time would be off because I had to change out the Ruida controller because the screen went funky on me.
Oh, I remember that. That wasn't too long ago, was it?
No, not long at all. It was still under warranty, luckily.
I'll be right back. Josh, when you get to it, start talking about your shop because we haven't heard nothing from you.
Yeah, because
I know.
So bald. I'm telling
Bald and
you
beautiful,
that.
goddammit.
No, the first part, yes. The second part, no.
Oh,
What does
everyone's
Nap have
picking-
that's cylindrical and straight sitting on? I know what it is, but is it really?
with a blue tip?
Is that really? Are
Well,
we on OnlyFans right now?
After dark, of course.
Ah, yes.
But I don't know where Nap.
And he's got a big pump thing behind him. That's probably all that slippery stuff behind him. Nothing. We weren't talking about you at all.
Oh,
Hey, I just got to ask, what's that blue cylindrical thing behind you, Nap?
oh, that?
Yes.
A bullet.
Mm-hmm. A bullet.
I'll hit on my shop real quick. Not much going on. Everything's set up, ready to go. I reached out to the clients that basically have reached out when I was closed. Some of them found other makers to make their stuff. Some of them I'm working with. I have one for sure shadow box I'll be doing. And that'd be something I'd be shipping out. I got nothing local right now, just because, well, I haven't really advertised here other than driving around in my truck. And I have to, do what I did on McGuire, New Jersey, and essentially start making a couple of free things, showing people what I could do, and then going from there. But it's a weird feeling. So I have found myself wanting to get in the shop to make stuff. And I have things for the house I need to make. But I haven't relaxed this long in a long time. So like having, and I say relaxed, relative term, but like I haven't had time to just kind of like chill out with the family. And, it's always been the shop and work, chill with the family when I can. And now I have, it's hard to get back in there and get that rhythm going again. I'm excited to, because everything's set up, ready to go, and everything I've done so far as testing goes, it's working like a dream. A lot better than it has in the other shop. I need an order. I need a couple orders to pop in, and that's going to get me in there. But I definitely have some things I should be able to do for the house before then, and I will be going in this weekend to complete some of those things. I have to, because if I don't, my wife's going to start buying the furniture I say I'm going to do. Unfortunately, so I got to get motivated to get in there. But it's, again, one of those things where it's been nice to hang out with the family, and it's been nice not having to worry about orders and stuff like that. Being able to concentrate a little bit on the kids and the wife and just, everyday stuff. But yeah, going in the shop, I have been doing a lot of 3D printing. I'm telling you, like, I am so impressed by this printer. It's like, I knew it was a good printer. I used it before. I had some issues here and there, but like for it traveling the way it did and me being able to print off the stuff I have, I've been running, I don't know, a day and a half prints and being able, no issues whatsoever. Supports break off, no issue. The quality just seems to be better. I can't explain it. Maybe it's, the temperature or the climate here that's helping the prints. But like, I've had no issues, knock on wood. And like, I've been doing some long prints. So, I mean, I actually 3D printed a whole system for my dust collection on the CNC.
Big dust collection?
Together. So to wrap that up real quick, I'm using my 36 CT Fez tool dust extractor on my CNC now, and I bought two other Fez tool dust extractors to run my miter and then my sander and the smaller tools. Yep. So I have 3 of those in the shop right now, and I've already used the smaller dust extractors, and I did it when I was cutting MDF on my track saw, and I had no dust. I had no dust that I could, like, very little bit of film underneath the actual cut. Other than that, nothing. Running the table saw, I usually turn on. Now I'm getting into the practice of turning on the actual dust collector and the filter above it, and almost no dust. So I mean, I have the shop running at such a state now that I can definitely operate with the door closed. What does that mean, right? That for makers out there, that means when it's cold, I don't have to freeze my butt off necessarily. And then, when it's hot, I can kind of keep it at a cooler temperature than outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then I installed what?
I just saw this thing coming in from the side. I thought it was a little paw, and then I realized it was the tail.
Yeah, there's those starfish for you guys there. Anyway, come on, you're like rubbing against the mic, and it doesn't sound good. Anyway, and then I installed a bug net on the garage door frame, so I can open the door and no bugs come in. And I'm just these modifications are things I wanted to always do. Dedicated dust collection, dedicated dust extraction, filtration, and it's great. It's a mix of not wanting to get it dirty and not having the motivation to actually get in there and make something, because I have nothing to do. I'm very much a timeline person, checklist person.
Mm-hmm.
And when I don't have that, it doesn't need to be done right away.
I got a question when you're done. Why aren't you running the big dust collector for your CNC?
I am. That's the 36 CT.
No, I'm saying your 4-inch dust collector.
Because it is the CNC's across the entire room.
Oh.
It's on the back wall. And I wanted more suction.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I'm using the Dust Boot version 3 from PWN CNC. I previously been using I think it's a 7 or 10. I think it's a 7. And it works great. But I want the Dust Boot that I'm going to be using here soon. Actually comes from behind and underneath. And I can remove the actual front piece, so I can do video while having dust collection. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, I can also use the Z sliders to go up and down and kind of modify the actual dust collection, so it rides above the piece and not rides with the actual spindle.
Okay.
So benefits with that, obviously, is when the spindle's up, I could change out a bit without having to worry about it. Mm-hmm. And then, it's always above the piece. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about the brushes going down or not, pounding into the piece. And then I have it modded, because you could buy different things, different style connectors for this particular piece, where it goes right into the Festool holes. So it's a great connection. It's not going to pop out. And Daniel, if you don't know this, does have maker files that you can purchase and you can 3D print. So I went on, bought some of those files, and I was able to 3D print the connectors and different stuff that I needed or wanted. And what does that do for me? Well, it allows me, if I need a longer connection or whatever, I can modify it. I can throw it in there, not modify the file, but I can, print the connectors and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And plus it's like a project. If you like doing, obviously we're all makers, we like doing this kind of stuff, but for me, I can 3D print the pieces. I buy the kit from him, which is all the hardware, so I don't have to go get that myself. And then I piece it all together, I utilize it, and if something goes bad, most of the time I can destroy the plastic or the PLA, and I can just 3D print another one and reuse that hardware.
Okay, it makes sense.
So yeah, different strokes for different folks, but I definitely like utilizing that system. I really enjoy utilizing a 3D printer for useful things. There's a couple figures and stuff like that I've tried to print in the past, and I do have the resin printer for that kind of stuff as well. But that's the kind of stuff I would like to eventually sell. I just haven't got there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Your cat 3D has printing. A lot of patience, AJ. I'm sorry. I keep watching you, and the cat's on the back of your chair. You're just like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And your cat's just like, all right, Dad, whatever.
Yeah, she doesn't move.
She's older, too, ain't she?
She's 6 or 7. Bless you.
But yeah, that's my shop talk. That's what I've been up to. Like I said, a lot of 3D printing, just enjoying the aspect of that. I got almost through a whole roll, and then I have another roll I'll be 3D printing with. And then I will be doing some resin prints and piecing things together. My ideal would be able to 3D print stuff, not have to paint it and give it out to people to paint, and they have the model and they do their thing. But
I apologize.
No, man, things are not that interesting for our shop talk goes when it comes to the shop.
I got another funny story.
Ooh.
Since we're all cat people here, I got great cat stories from this.
Oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead, man.
Dude, for those folks listening out there, this has nothing to do with my shop. This has to do with my extracurriculars, going fishing and hunting and all those things. I was going fishing on Sunday. It was a nice early morning. It was roughly 4:30, 4:45 in the morning. So I was getting ready to get to the lake by 6. And getting my tackle together, getting all the things together, pulled the fishing poles out of the closet, put them up against the wall. And I had I just call it a walleye hook. It's white with a little red eye on it. So, it attracts fish and, put the worm on it and all the things. And I looked away for 2 minutes. This effing cat, she wasn't there. And then she was there. She starts playing with it. She swatted the damn fish hook and got it stuck in her paw. And all I hear, because I looked back, messing with tackle, and all I hear is crash. I'm like, what is happening? Fishing pole is chasing the cat.
Yep.
Cat has fish hook in paw. I'm like, what did you do? And she kind of sits there and looks at me. And she's like, because she knew she messed up. It was it. That was it for her. So I flipped her over and I was like, well, how in the... And I was hoping it went all the way through. Because if it went all the way through, you clip the barb, pull it right out. Not a big deal. That was not the case. It went between her two fingers, phalanges, whatever, and went right to the webbing of her paw. And it went up to the side of her pad of her paw. So it didn't go all the way through. It just went behind the pad of her paw. And I told the wife, I was like, I need your help. So I tried to finagle this hook out. It did not happen. My wife, as a matter of fact, was collateral damage. She got bit in the process.
Oof.
And so we ended up saying, screw it. And we were going to call emergency vet. And I was like, do you want me to go with you on this or not? Because we thought it was just going to be in town, not a big deal. She's like, no, I got it. There's really no difference in you being here versus you not. So I clipped the hook as close as I could with some still sticking out so you could still see it, but to where it wasn't like really in the way for where she would walk. And we put her in the bathroom. So she didn't do a lot of running around and didn't mess it up further. Well, she's walking around like nothing ever happened. So we let her go for 2 days. Why did we let her go for 2 days? Because they tried sending us to Fargo, which is 4 hours away. And I was like, oh, no, we're not going to Fargo. She's not in pain right now. She's fine. So we get to today. What took me 20, 25 minutes to try to do this myself, they didn't give her anesthesia. They didn't give her any kind of local anesthesia, nothing to numb it. They just pat her, loved on her, and they took it out. And I was like, are you serious? And they go, yeah, we just given her cuddles and we pulled it out. And luckily for me, it was only $60. Okay, so that was for that. Luckily. What, Josh?
So I'm guessing every single one of us have been hooked before.
Yeah. Yes, it doesn't feel good.
Okay. So I've been hooked before and had to push it all the way through, get the barb out, cut it, and then you take it out. It's just, you get hooked sometimes. That's the way it is, right? Been hooked by my brother, my cousin, my father, you name it. If you go fishing enough as a kid, you've gotten hooked, right? Why didn't you try to push it? Pause for effect. Why didn't you try to just push it through and cut the barb and pull it out?
Okay, I want you to try to do that to a cat who's stronger than you think. By the way, cats have dumb strength. Like, we're sitting there, I'm like, okay, we can hold her down, not a big deal. No. Cats are, 1, super strong. 2, their paws are, like, legs and paws are super skinny, so holding those is a pain. And then on top of that, claws. Oh, and by the way, teeth. So all of those played a factor. And I tried. I really did try. It didn't.
Okay, fair enough. I just was curious if you tried or that was the deal.
So that was cat number 1.
Oh, Jesus.
That was the more exciting stuff. The other part was one of my other cats, he got out, a couple months ago. And ever since then, he had started losing weight. And I was like, why is he losing weight? And he didn't feel right. Because, cats, some are lean, but not like this. He weighed 10 pounds. And I sadly have to say he weighed a lot less than that. Because he's a big cat. He's not like a small fat cat. He's a large muscular cat. So I was like, why is he so light? Why do I feel his bones more than normal? So I took him to the vet. to get him checked out. We'll come to find out he has a heart murmur. And I guess for cats, their hearts regulate a lot of fluids besides blood and all that. Like it actually dictates bathroom breaks, if you will, the amount. It dictates how much food they'll eat, how much they need, in fact. And the problem was he wasn't getting enough protein because his heart was working super fat, a lot more than a normal cat who doesn't have a heart murmur. And it was actually burning the energy and the calories faster than his body could keep up. Wow. So we ended up having to get a medication, all that stuff. Now he cost me a lot more than $60. But yeah, so this week has not been great because it was literally almost to the day that I took Oreo to the hospital, to the vet, and to me taking Nemo, his sister, to the hospital / vet. It was a great week of cats and mistakes.
Sounds it.
But yeah, that was just a peek behind the curtain of what I'm doing that's not in the shop. More dealing with my animals. Trying to use them as bait, as Tim so eloquently put it. I really was trying to take her out and, catch the biggest fish in the lake, but it didn't happen. So, but yeah, that was the more excitement of my week, other than my CNC throwing my probe across the shop. But yeah.
Okay.
This kind of episode you can just get hooked on.
You're stupid. But it's funny is, if you were listening to these, if you're not listening to the episodes, you would never know we talked about this. So, just make sure you're listening to the episodes and pay attention to what's going on. Because you never know.
Oh, I wonder if that's a hint at all
Yeah.
for anything that might be coming up in a couple of months.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird. But if you're not listening, you won't know. So
I don't even know.
We'll talk to you, AJ.
Double loser?
What does that look like?
A W.
2 things that I can't say right now.
If you're doing sign language, I know what you're trying to do, but you're
that's not sign language.
All right. Anyway, you guys got anything else?
Nope. I think that's really it. I just wanted to wrap it up with an amazing cat story because cat stories are great. Cats are dumb, but they're smart.
Wrapping?
All at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, man.
Oh, I was just going to ask you guys a quick question.
What you got?
Oh, ask away.
Why aren't either of you going to Maker Camp?
Yeah. Oh, so I'll tell you that I switched positions again, AJ, and I'm learning a whole new freaking job.
I know. I heard that you're going to be reloading.
Yeah, I'll be loading aircraft.
Loading.
Now. Yeah, loading aircraft and teaching that. So I have to learn an entirely new aircraft, which is going to be an endeavor all on its own. But it's cool. I'm not complaining because I'm actually excited to do it. So
okay. Well,
we need to make it a priority sometime here in the future to us to show, and I wish we could be this year, but I didn't even go home for family reunion stuff just because just starting a job and learning. So
yeah, no, I was just curious. But speaking of Maker Camp, it reminded me. I know I asked you guys once before. I want to say a while ago. It could be a real quick answer. Is there a different media that you want to try out that you haven't tried out yet?
Metal.
I would say metal. I would say metal too, but I've done metal, just not to that degree.
Like real metal.
You want to do just flat stuff, or you want to do forging?
Forging would be cool.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to. I had a hookup, but I haven't gotten any yet. I wanted to get some railroad spikes and start, dabbling in that. Start getting little. Huh?
You make roses, don't you? Did you do that out of the railroad spikes?
No, that wasn't out of a spike. That was just out of a square stock with sheet metal. So,
okay.
But yeah, I made a couple of the roses, but I would like to do. I saw a guy doing railroad spike bottle openers and whatnot. So I was like, I can get them for free, and I could buy a small forge. And I was thinking about dabbling in that, but that's for down the road. But I was just curious about your thoughts as well.
There's always things I want to try to get into. You know what I'm saying? I'm still trying to get into doing the lathe. I honestly think that's a whole different ball game, and a lot of people agree with me when it comes to that. I definitely want to start turning more. In fact, the other day I was making a breakfast pizza for the family, and I couldn't tell you where a rolling pin went. Just not here for some reason. I almost went into the shop, turned the rolling pin real quick, got it sanded, oil it up real quick and used it.
Odie's pizza.
Hey, it goes great on bread, but I don't have any Odie's anymore, to be honest with you. I have Orris oil and I have wood honey from Totalboat.
Those are
Okay.
both good.
Cool.
Yeah. Metal or what is it? Is it fiberglass? Yeah. Right?
What?
Not fiberglass. What is it? Oh, I can't think of it. Cars have it. Carbon fiber. There it is.
Okay.
I don't know why I couldn't think of the damn name. But yeah, carbon fiber I think would be cool. But that's real thin stuff and more for accents and things like that. I don't know. There's like a couple mediums that I've wanted to try, but metal and maybe that would be the two.
Okay.
Definitely metal. I mean, that's going to be like when I have a bigger shop. You know what I'm saying? Where I can kind of partition it off a little bit because you don't want to have a woodworking shop and be metalworking inside it. So
Yeah, that's what I've been. I'd have to do all of it outside.
Yeah, because that's
during the winter would be nice. I mean, like be nice and cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Pretty much.
Cool.
all right. We put a bow on this thing and wrapping it up.
Let's go ahead, AJ, take us out.
So you've been listening to the latest episode of Sawdust Nation podcast
Ooh, radio voice.
with your hosts Josh, Knapp, and the special guest host, myself, AJ from Crafted and NJ. If you want to reach the two guys over at Sawdust Nation Podcast, you can reach them at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com or Sawdust Nation Podcast on Instagram. You can also reach Knapp at Knapp's Naughty Works LLC on Instagram. You can reach Josh over at North Country Woodworking on Instagram as well. If you like this show, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and give us 5 stars, because if you don't, Josh's cat will attack you and you won't be around anymore. She works for the CIA.
Walnut possesses a certain set of skills.
Yes, this cat possesses a
We
certain
will
set of
find you.
skills. But with that, if you want to reach myself, you can reach me at CraftedandNJ on Instagram. And I kind of stole the show on this one. And we wanted to thank our sponsors, Daniel over at PWN CNC, where if you can see and see it, I don't know his slogan.
Don't just own your CNC.
Yes. If don't just own your CNC, pwn your CNC.
I like it. I'll have to pitch that to him.
And then we also want to thank Totalboat, right? Totalboat?
Yeah, Totalboat.
Yeah.
All right. Just want to make sure I have. Hey, have you guys tried out the new Orca abrasives that he was putting out?
I haven't.
The pink?
I don't know. He sent them out, but I think USPS lost mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
The red is awesome. Red is awesome. Oh yeah, and if you want 10% on your Orca orders, NAPS 10, NAPS capital and 10. You get
Nice,
10% off
nice.
your order.
Anyway, did I miss anything? You need me to
Nope.
say anything
Nope.
else?
Final words?
Final words. Yeah.
Final words. I don't know. I'll go last on that. Josh, what's your TSGT? Josh, what's your last?
Okay, we're goofing.
No. We're goofing around. Final words. Get in your shop. Go make some sawdust. Even if you don't have a project, go do something in there. Don't lose your motivation to get out in the shop, because once you lose, it's hard to get back out there. As long as you're making, I guess it doesn't matter. But for me, I gotta get my butt out there. So go make some sawdust, and Sawdust Nation podcast will continue on with these two guys.
Oh, I
I'm
see
gonna
what you
take a
said
long
there.
drink.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Keep taking care of each other, folks. Keep taking care of the community, because it only gets stronger as we keep helping each other out. Outside of that, I'm busy as hell. Busy as heck. But yeah, if you need help with lasers or just need someone to bounce ideas off, you can hit me up and I will respond. Outside
Cool.
of that, AJ.
And I'm gonna say, Sawdust Nation, out. That's it. You have
I
to
like it.
end it. And
Well
just
played.
end it right here. I'm gonna
Well
leave.
played. It was well played.
See you.